champion of people, purpose, and progress. Kate brings a rare blend of heart and strategy to the world of social impact. With over 20 years of experience in social work and nonprofit management, she helps mission driven teams tackle complex challenges, strengthen their operations, and make meaningful change in their communities. Known for her sharp insight, calm presence, and deep commitment to social justice, Kate is a trusted advisor, trainer, and facilitator across the nonprofit and public sectors. In 2011, Kate launched KS Solutions Consulting to support nonprofits and government agencies in building healthier, more effective organizations. Her approach is rooted in diversity, equity, and inclusion and emphasizes workplace wellness as a catalyst for stronger teams and lasting impact. From grassroots nonprofits to national institutions and universities, Kate has helped a wide range of organizations elevate their strategy, culture, and results. Kate's background includes 15 years of leadership experience guiding programs, boards, and staff across nonprofit and government settings. Her expertise spans volunteer engagement, board development, change management, and program design, always with a focus on practical, values based leadership. She is certified in the National Standards for Excellence in Nonprofit Operations and holds a wellness counseling certification from Cornell University, integrating well-being into every layer of her work. Beyond consulting, Kate teaches graduate students at UMBC, shaping the next generation of changemakers. She's also an active community volunteer, leading a weekly club for middle schoolers and serving on the boards of Friends of Herring Run Park. A nature enthusiast and trained hike leader, Kate lives in Baltimore City with her husband and their dog, proudly calling the city home for over 2 decades. She credits her upbringing in Columbia, Maryland, with instilling the values that continue to guide her work today. And with that, I'll say, Kate, take it away.
Thank you, Marty. Thank you for that. I loved how you put that together. It was very nice. So thank you for that introduction. And again, thank you for inviting me to be with you today. I'm going to jump in. So if people are listening, they're like, let's talk about stuff. So what you and I discussed that would be a helpful piece to talk about with this audience is really personal wellness and wellness in the workplace. My work is, as Marty mentioned, working with nonprofit organizations and government entities. And over the last 14 years, consulting, but even prior as an employee in those areas, I felt and saw the need for how do we focus on people, especially people who are helping others, but everyone really, right? But people who are focused on helping others, how do we support people in their wellness? How do we make sure people aren't getting burnt out, stressed out, all those kind of things, right? So how do we support them best in their wellness? And I started looking at the fact that people were pretty stressed, and they are negotiating between home priorities and work priorities and caretaking for children and older parents and trying to find some joy and pleasure also and their work demands, right? So all those things happening and stresses of the world around us, right? What is happening in politics or in just tragedies that are around? What and how do you balance all that? I don't have an easy answer for how you balance all that, right? And Marty, you run a business, as do I, right? And we have our stresses too, right? How do you do that? And how do you handle that? I have to say, having some control over my schedule as a independent person definitely helps, right? So that's definitely helped me over the years. And with that, I've been able to step back a little bit and help others with this, because I'm like, okay, I feel a little bit more under control myself, so I can be more giving to other people to look at how they manage stress. So I want to share a little bit about what do we mean by wellness? What does that mean? And personal wellness, and what does workplace wellness mean? And how do we do both a little bit better? And hopefully people from this will take away a tip or two. When I work with teams, I work with them on a lot of strategy and facilitation. So for decision-making, assessments of the organization, but I always make sure we talk about the wellness piece. because we can do all the work stuff and we can make sure that we are operating by the book. But if the team isn't, the culture is not healthy and the individuals aren't feeling well, it doesn't matter, right? That we do all the other pieces. So there's definitely times where I say to a group, we need to take a pause here and figure out how we can do this wellness piece, and make sure that everybody is doing good and making that a priority for the team. So Marty, do you hear that from clients, stress levels and people just not being as well as you would hope or you would think?
Oh, for sure. Yes. There's always so much happening, whether it be professionally, personally, out in the world. There's just so much coming at you all the time. It's got to be a priority, or else you'll burn out. I know for me, Kate, I send, I would say about a monthly message to my entire team. And it's not just checking in on them work wise. I always put in there, where are you at, psychologically, physically? What do you need from me in order to help you be, as a whole person? I check in on that because I know that if my team's doing well, SML is doing well. And they're people too. They're people first. They're not just, people on my team. I value them and I want them to do well however they can.
I mean, that right there is just really good, a good role model of a leader to say, I care about my team. I see them as people, and understanding that if they're doing well, my business is doing well, right? So that matters a lot, and checking in. And I'm sure they feel that from you, that you care. And that if something is going on with them, that's challenging for them at a given time, that you're giving them some leeway, some flexibility, some support, whatever. I think that's really important. So let's look in. I'm going to just share a screen here. So let me pull up this one here. Okay. So we'll move to this. So wellness defined. So just so you can see it, for individuals, we're talking about practicing healthy habits daily and to get to feel physically and mentally better, to have better outcomes. And then my favorite part is, so instead of just surviving, you're thriving. You're not just getting by. You're not just going, oh, it's Monday, I can't wait till Friday. Whew, just get through. Oh, I got a vacation in 6 months. Let me just wait till then, right? Sometimes we all could be there. Sometimes that's the way a given week is. You don't want your life to be that way, right? A given week can be a hard week, so that's okay. But over time, we don't want that to be the way, right? All the time. We don't want that all the time to be the way. And for a healthy and successful workplace, you want one where employees are engaged, they're satisfied, they have healthy behaviors, they're productive and effective, and they help the organization accomplish its goals. So they're personally doing well and professionally doing well, to Marnie's point earlier, right? Both of those go together. So that's what we mean when we say wellness, right? What is wellness defined, what that is, right? The other thing I like to share with people with wellness is this concept, which you may have heard of before, but there's 8 dimensions to wellness. So we're not just talking about, some people say 6, some people say more, but we'll go with 8. We're not just talking about physical, right? And we are talking about mental, but in different ways. So if you look at these, emotional, right? How you emotionally are doing, but we're also talking about spiritually, how you're doing. Whatever you believe in, whatever is important to you spiritually. Environmentally, how is the environment you're in? And that can literally mean, is the environment your desk? Is it clean and conducive to you being able to get work done? Or is there stuff piled up everywhere and you can't think straight? It could also mean the air you're breathing, right? So those pieces are important. Physical, social, your family, right? Your family. So I jumped over physical because we talk about that one so much, but exercise and fitness, right? And our physical health. But social, your family, your friends network. Vocational, how you're doing in your job is one of 8, right? To Marnie's point, it's people first. We care about people because vocational in this concept and in lots of different ways to look at wellness is one of many things. It's not everything, right? So people are built around all these other things. Intellectually, how you're being stimulated. Financially, which also can have to do with your vocation. Are you feeling stable? Are you feeling in charge of your finances? Are you feeling overwhelmed by worry around finances? So all those things make up wellness. So we can't just focus on one piece. We got to focus on the whole thing. That's why that's important to share. So the other thing is looking around wellness in two ways of the idea that you are well personally doing well, but also professionally and in the workplace, that it feels like there's a culture that's supporting. Because I can be as well as possible on my own, but if I go to work and it's not a healthy place, how can I function best, right? How can I really function? How does the work that I've done on myself and to be a healthy person, it might get torn down a bit at work if there's not both happening. Have you ever worked anywhere, Marnie? Not now, of course, but in the past where you felt like, oh gosh, this place is not the place that's making me healthy.
Oh, yes. Mostly physically and emotionally. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
We probably have all had those experiences, right? So you want to also have a workplace that's healthy as well as you. So, and vice versa. If you're not already working on your own personal wellness, you can't expect the workplace to make it all better for you. So both things have to happen. It has to be a culture that's healthy at work, and it has to be you and you working on that piece. So what does that look like, right? So what does that look like? So let's talk about that a little bit. So one thing I like to say to people is, as you think about your personal wellness, remember that self-care done right is not selfish, right? The whole concept of you can't pour from an empty cup, right? Or put your mask on first before you help the baby, right? So you need to build yourself up to be able to help other people. Self-care doesn't mean forget all those people out there. All I'm going to do is focus on me. That's selfish, right? You're not doing that. You're saying, I'm going to take care of myself and be a really whole person and well, and then I can help everybody else. But if I just keep giving and giving and giving, however that looks in your life, as a caretaker, as an employee, as whatever, as a business owner, whatever, you aren't going to have anything left, right? To be able to build up. And if you're leading a team or a family, you want to role model self-care. You want to show that you take breaks, you do what you need to do, you have the boundaries you need. You want to show that because that's so important for people. So that's an important piece. You can't help people you're burned out. Also know your value. You know, we get one of these trips around the sun, right? We get one of these experiences in life. So know your value and know that this matters, and that you should get to have a life with some joy and some really healthy behaviors and wellness that bring you the happiness that you want to have. And that looks different for everybody. So a lot of times for people with self-care, it can mean just slowing down. It can really mean, I've been doing a lot and I just need to take a breath and slow down. And that might mean literally in the middle of your workday. Like for me, sometimes I'm sitting at my desk and I start getting requests from clients and things are coming in and I feel really overwhelmed. And I think I have so much to do and I'm trying to do it all and I'm making typos and I've got, 17 different screens open, right? And that's the moment to walk away. That's the moment to take a breath, because right there, I can tell my blood pressure is getting higher. I'm stressed. I'm not thinking as clearly. It's a time where I can make a mistake. I could send an email that's not worded well, or I could respond to something more aggressively than I should have. We've all done that. Oops, right? I was having a moment. So all those things can happen. So that's the moment to walk away and to say to yourself, I'm going to take a little break. I'm going to get a snack, right? I'm going to walk around my living room if you work from home, or I'm going to walk down the hallway if you're in an office, right? I'm going to take a little break and then come back to what you're working on. And my dog is looking out the window at something. So if he starts barking, excuse me, hopefully he won't. But that's the moment to do that. And then, so let me share a slide with you. And then that also shows some other things that are, just pull the right slide. There we go. That also are just really simple things to think about around self-care. We often think around self-care about a spa day, which is lovely and great, but there's really a lot of other simple things. So while you look at that, I'm going to excuse myself and grab my little critter away from this window. So, okay. Sorry about that. I thought he was asleep. So
that's okay. SML are animal lovers. Do not, hey, They're sometimes in our meetings with us. No worries.
And that's part of my self-care is I love looking at him in my office, but then, there he is. So I saw a dog friend outside. So, so self-care can be these things on the screen, asking for help, spending time alone, putting yourself first, setting boundaries, all these things you see here, right, are also self-care. So yes, we always think go to the spa, right, which is lovely, but it's also expensive and not always realistic, and all those things. These are little simple things that are really about caring for yourself. So that matters too, right, around that piece. In these simple things that we do every day that shows to you, I can take a step back, right? I can take a break. I can say no. A lot of people tell me I have a hard time saying no. And they say they have a really hard time with that, especially in the workplace. And my suggestion to you, if you have a hard time saying no, is I try to do no with a yes. So no, I can't, no, I'm not able to do that, but I could do this, right? Some people say no is a full sentence and no is no. But if you're not quite there yet, or it's not appropriate in a certain setting, you maybe with your boss, maybe something like that, you can say no, I can't do this, but I would be able to do this. That way you're just mentally, for people, it's easier to hear the no when they have another thing you're offering instead, right? So no, but I can do this. So that's a good one to use. So all these things to think about, and these different ways that you can take care of yourself. And we can go on and on, of course, about how you can take care of yourself, lots of ways. But let me jump just a little bit to what can happen in the workplace around how do you help each other. So maybe you're not the leader in the workplace. Maybe you are, but maybe you're not the leader. Sorry, I want to give you this one. Maybe you're not the leader, and doesn't mean you can't make change happen and make a healthy workplace, right? You can support your team. So part of it is just being empathetic and checking in with each other. How are you doing? So Marty, you were saying you check in with your team, but hopefully they check in with each other too. How are you doing? How's your workload? How can I help you? In our meeting, even if it's virtual, right? In our meeting last week, you seemed a little stressed. Is there anything going on? Can I help you with something, right? Supporting each other. There are studies that say getting compliments from your colleagues matter to people more than getting a good praise from their supervisor. The supervisor is sort of supposed to, support and praise their team. From a colleague, it sort of feels like, wow, that was really special. They meant it, And after I've said that, and I read that study, a couple of clients, I've been in their offices and I've seen a sticky note. This is two instances right after I read this study where a colleague wrote to another colleague a nice thing. I appreciate you because, or hey, thanks for, and the person who received it had hung it on their bulletin board in their office, right? So it just drove home to me that matters to people, right? So you can support each other as a team. Can I help you? And just to say, hey, I appreciate you, right? Matters to people. And sometimes people have said to me, I remember writing a grant, being really busy. They said, Kate, you look really busy. Can I get you lunch? We're headed out. We'll grab you lunch, right? Just you're creating a healthy workplace. Or, hey, do you want to take a walk today at lunch? Or if you're virtual, say, hey, let's remind each other to take breaks, right? Just how do you support each other is really important to develop a work-life balance. What's happening in the workplace is, yes, there's a leader that's in charge. Typically, some people have a flat hierarchy, but there's a leader who's in charge who's dictating the culture to some extent. But you all, as team members, can support each other, and you're kind of also role modeling and emulating what culture we want to have. How do we want to function here? We want to support each other, right? Maybe people take turns bringing in healthy snacks, right? All those kind of things. How do you do that? Encourage, hey, I know you got to pick up your kid by 4. I'll go ahead and take I'll present in the meeting today for you, right? Just how do you help each other? And you're role modeling really what kind of place we want to have here. And you're showing your leadership. If you're in leadership, you can do other things, right? I mean, if you're in leadership, you can help set expectations around, we're not emailing in the evening, right? If you work in the evening, that's on you, but make sure you schedule it to go out later. People are going to start responding. Before you know it, you're going to be working hours at night, and that's not okay. Or maybe you're a leader and you say, we have flexible schedules. You have some flex time in your day. That's really important to people. Like I said, I felt like less stress working for myself since I have a flexible schedule, right? That's important to people. You can encourage people to take their vacation time, When people say, I've got weeks of vacation, I hate hearing that from people. It makes me so sad. Weeks of vacation banked. You know, do you hear that, Marnie, from folks that say they have lots of vacation time banked that they haven't used?
Yes. And it can't be healthy. It just can't be. I understand and I do. And I love when people are totally engaged with their jobs or their organization. But if you don't take those breaks, I mean, you will burn out. It can't be healthy for themselves or the organization long term.
No, you will burn out, and it's not good. It's not good. And if you take those breaks and you work while you're on the breaks, that doesn't count. So you've got to get yourself to a place. Some people say to me, but when I come back, it's so terrible. There's lots of ways to prepare for when you come back, to make that not as terrible. But because their email box is full and they feel behind, but you can make it not as terrible. Take those breaks and take true breaks where you're not looking at your email. Take the app off your phone if you've got your work email coming to your phone. Right? Close up, take the alerts off so you're not getting the dings and the reminders, all those things that make you look, right? It'll be here. It can wait. It's amazing to me how many times I thought, oh my gosh, what if I was working a huge event a huge event where all these hours, barely sleeping, day after day after day. And I woke up one morning in the middle of the event with a huge swollen lip and I had an allergic reaction to something and it was starting to be hard to breathe. So clearly I had to go to the emergency room, right? I couldn't just, right? And everything was fine. My lip turned out fine. I took some Benadryl. I was several hours later than I should have been, but it was fine. If I had thought before that I was going to take off 4 or 5 hours in the middle of the day during this huge event, I would have thought the world would have stopped. You know what I mean? But here it was. I woke up, my body was saying, pay attention to me, right? You've got this huge swollen lip. You've got to go to the emergency room and, you might not be able to breathe. So you're not going to be much of a good employee at that point. And the team said, oh my gosh, Kate, please go take care of yourself. We'll cover you, right? Good teammates. Everything's going to be fine, blah, blah. Luckily, Benadryl kicked in a few hours later. I was back, right? It worked out. But even if I hadn't been the rest of that day, it would have been fine, right? So we make up in our heads, yes, we're important and we're valuable, to our team, but we can also go take care of ourselves. So swollen lip made me go to the doctor, the hospital, and made me realize you can take a break. You can take that minute. So those are all important things to think about. And as you're in your leadership, I think about in leadership too, what can you do to make people's life easier? And you said that in the beginning, Marnie. What can you do? Whether it's putting some healthy snacks in the office. Simple, right? I have a little budget for some healthy snacks in the office. It can be that. It can be the flexible schedule. It can be saying to people, we pay for people to travel. If people need to go from point A to point B, to take financial pressure off of people, right? Maybe you're paying for that. Maybe you're teaching people how to do time management better. So if they're feeling stressed and they can't, maybe you're giving classes on time management. So think about what your team needs and what are ways to help them make their job easier and better and their experience with you. That's a really important thing as a leader, right? Is thinking about how can I make their experience better. If you're not the leader, again, you're thinking about how can I support my team and how can I role model for leadership, what we do really well. And then and there's lots of ideas. Lots of people are doing really good work around wellness in the workplace. But some of those things can be really helpful in thinking about how do I best do this and how do I support my team. And so one thing I want you to think about as we wrap up here is thinking about your personal wellness plan. So yes, there's self-care, there's wellness in the workplace, and ideally they're both happening, right? Good workplace culture, and you got your good self-care going on, right? If you're a leader, you're thinking of ways to support your team. If you're on the worker bee, one of the team members, you're thinking about ways to support each other. But then going back to you to think about, well, okay, if I'm going to be that person that is supporting my team or supporting my colleagues, if I am also giving back to the community in different ways and to my family, how am I taking care of myself given all of this, right? We've now convinced you that it's not selfish, that it's very important, and it makes you a better rounded person in all. You're role modeling this for your children, for everyone who's watching you, right? So simply think about 3 things that refuel you, right? What are things that make you feel good? What are those 3 things? Think about 3 things that you no longer want to do. I don't want to do it. I've had that with my business. There's times where I'm like, you know what? I just don't like doing this. Maybe I'll hire SML, right? Because the people there who like doing this work, right? They're going to do the work for me. Maybe I'm just not going to do that kind of work anymore, right? What am I not going to do anymore? Maybe it's even I get invited to, these events at my cousin's party at house, and I don't want to go. I'm not going anymore, right? I don't want to feel committed to that. So think of that. The other thing think about is, what are 3 warning signs of stress and anxiety for you? Because what happens is it's like physical pain as well. You've had this experience where you get a bad headache, and you know that if you take the Tylenol or the ibuprofen early in the headache, it works better than if you try to take it once the headache gets really, really bad. And it's the same thing with stress. Once you're really, really stressed, it's harder to bring yourself down or really, really anxious. So start to learn, what are the warning signs for me? What do I start? For me, I start skipping my workouts. I can't work out. I've got to get this work done. So I'm letting go of something that matters to me for my own physical health, right? That might be it. Whatever it is that you notice, or maybe it's even a physical, I start to breathe differently, right? What is it? So when you start to have a couple of those things happening, whoop, I got to take a break, right? I got to step back and reevaluate here. I'm getting too caught up. What am I going to go back to at the top of this list that refuels me? That's for me, right? And then another one is, what are your daily kindness words to yourself? So whether those be affirmations that you like, if you Google affirmations, if you don't already have one, and I have some at my desk putting around, right? What are the things that you tell yourself kindly daily? Because we can be really hard on ourselves, and we can put ourselves down, and we can compare ourselves to other people, and we can think we should do better, and we can do all those things. So what are you doing every day? Because all of this wellness piece is harder when you're not feeling good about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So what are those things? So if you write these down, what refuels you? 3 things you don't want to do anymore, 3 warning signs of stress, and what are some daily kindness words for you, right? And use this as a way to start to develop a plan for yourself of, how am I going to do better? How am I going to make myself feel a little bit better every day and really focus on my wellness and teach other people by watching me? So that can be super helpful. So I hope that's helpful to you in a brief way to think about all this part about your personal and your professional wellness and how they go together. Marnie, anything you want to add from your expertise?
No, actually, this has been so helpful, Kate. Actually, I'm already like, I think I'm going to have to revisit a few things for myself. Because I find it so easy to do for the team or your family members or friends, but when it comes to yourself, I don't know what the barrier is, but I know I have it. I mean, I can admit that. And it's something I have to continuously revisit and help. And I will say I'm grateful for my team members and my family, because they do the same thing, positive thoughts and support. And they do all the right things. And, I'm just glad that it's a healthy cycle versus not. But, there's in this, I feel like it's it never really ends, right? There's always something you can make just a little bit better, or hone or tweak to make it better for yourself or your team, and you never want to give up on yourself in that manner.
I think that's a really good point too, that it's not like, I've now mastered my self-care and my wellness, I'm done, right? Like for me, I'm doing well sometimes, and other times I start to slip. Right. And then I have to go, okay, wait. So that's what wellness plan is good too, because you can go back to it and go, wait, what were those things I said that refueled me? What were those things I wasn't going to do anymore? So it doesn't mean you figure it out, now you're done, because life comes at you different ways at different times, whether it's the caretaking for a sick parent or a really busy work schedule or whatever. You might start to go back into old patterns, and you have to remind yourself, I need to do this, right, for myself. So, so really good. So to everyone, I hope you can think of things to do, at the very least, kind words to yourself. Think about that, and what affirmations you can share with yourself daily, use this to your advantage. So thank you again, Marnie, for this. It was fun.
No, thank you so much, Kate. And I just want to highly recommend anyone who needs any type of support that Kate offers, please reach out to her. There is no one better. I can't highly recommend her enough. And thank you everyone for tuning in to Mind Your Business with SML. Thanks, everyone. Bye.